We're very excited to have you here. Hopefully the day is going well. We've had some great speakers, some great information. Please ask questions, and if you have any questions about getting around, you see somebody in these fabulous white shirts with yellow sleeves, just grab any one of us, and we can answer that. It's my pleasure to introduce Charlie Nelson. Charlie is joining us from Smart Recruiters. He is the Director of Business Development, and we're very excited to hear him talk about a topic that I think is very important, is attracting and retaining talent. So with that, I want to turn it over to Charlie right away. So please help me welcome Charlie Nelson.
We're good?
Okay, cool. As Rich mentioned, my name is Charlie Nelson. I work for a company called Smart Recruiters, and our focus is to help small businesses simplify the chaos that exists within the hiring space. We, as a company, are a small business. We've been in business for about 2 years, and in that time, we've grown to 40 total employees. So we understand the pains of not only our customers and what they face on a daily basis when trying to attract and retain talent. And we've been able to listen to them and not only provide them with resources that help them to simplify and navigate through the chaos that we're going to go through here in a couple slides. So when I think about the recruiting space, and I'm sure all of you have gone through the pains that exist within it, there's just too much noise. You break it down into 3 core sections. The first is source. So in order to attract candidates, you got to figure out where they spend their time. How do I find them? How do I get them engaged or interested in what we have to offer? Does anyone by chance know how many job boards there are that exist worldwide? I have a T-shirt for the person that gets the closest, or even the person that just gives me an answer. Yeah. There are 25,000 job boards. 25,000 job boards. I've worked in the recruitment space for about 5 years. I can maybe name you 25, 30. So there are so many options for not just small business, but employers in general. And so what we want to help you do is figure out how to make smart decisions when trying to attract that talent. You can see that the average cost per hire for an SMB is $3,500. That's a lot of money that's poured into trying to make one hire. I think what's most alarming on this screen, though, is it takes that small business over 100 days to find someone and get them started. So with most companies, as I'm sure you guys feel the pain on a daily basis, when you first post that position, by the time that you actually get someone in that seat, the role has probably changed. The position itself is no longer going to match the job description that you've created. And then the final piece is, how do you ensure that you're making the right hire? And this is where it really fits into retention. And in my mind, where attracting and retaining couple very well. In order to retain the right hire, you need to make sure that you're hiring the best, right? It's not hiring the most acceptable candidate. It's hiring the candidate that is going to be a long-term fit. And so what we want to do is make sure that when we bring candidates in the door, not only have we attracted the right candidates, but how do we narrow that list down to make sure that the candidate that we move forward with, that we offer the position to, is going to be the candidate that we can help to grow our business with. And as Jeff Weiner mentioned earlier today, your next hire can either make or break your company. So it's essential that you're not only attracting them, but you're also making sure that the people that you do attract are the best. So in order to attract, it all starts with what we call a job ad. It's not a job description, it's a job ad. It's an advertisement. This is your first time, or this is your first interaction with the potential candidate to sell them on why you are an employer of choice. If you put yourself in the shoes of a candidate, no one wants to read a bunch of lists of things that you have to do on a daily basis. What they want to know is, why do I want to work for this company? And this is your chance to say why your company is unique, why candidates want to work for you. So we use the term advertisement because that's exactly what it is. In my opinion, recruiting and hiring is more of a marketing and sales problem than it is an HR recruitment problem. The next piece is you want to make sure that your jobs are listed on your website. So if I'm a candidate and I run a search for a job on Craigslist, let's see. Candidates are savvy now. They're not just going to apply to the position. They're going to want to dig a little bit deeper and learn more about you as an employer. So they're going to come to your website. So you want to make sure that you have your positions listed there. So number one, they know that it was in fact you as a company that posted that position and not some scam that is trying to get their application that they can resell. But it's also a place for you to brand yourself as an employer of choice. Not only do you list your jobs, but you also want to add an element of why a candidate would want to work for you. And you can do this through photos or videos or employee testimonials. And then you want to let the whole world know, right? So what we're doing, these steps that we're taking, is we're casting a very wide net because we never know where that best candidate is going to be running their job search. So we live in an internet world. Our candidates spend their time on the internet. We want to make sure that we're posting our job advertisement to a place where we know that either active candidates, so people that are trafficking job sites like Indeed.com or Simply Hired or Job Rapido are looking for jobs, or even candidates that might just be searching for positions on Google or Bing. And then the idea of social media recruitment. Asking your connections, asking your employees, your colleagues to know if they might know someone that would be a good fit for your open position. This is a big piece for me in the stage that we're at within the recruitment world for a few reasons. First being, if I am a marketing representative in San Francisco, California, and my boss comes to me and says, Charlie, we're looking to hire someone to work alongside of you. Do you happen to know anyone within marketing? Odds are I'm probably connected to someone else that has the same marketing experience as me. So for me, being able to distribute my job to my LinkedIn network or my Facebook connections, it's probably going to get some visibility and some eyeballs from candidates that ultimately are more of a targeted candidate pool than someone that I might get on a Craigslist or on a job board. So you want to make sure that you're leveraging your connections and trying to drum up some referrals. And then, of course, job boards. Many people say job boards are dying. They don't drive the same volume or the same value that they once did. I disagree with that. I think that job boards are extremely important in your sourcing and your attracting strategy. This is where candidates spend their time. If you think about a career builder, they have 30 million unique visitors every month. So it's important that you have a presence on the places where we know candidates are spending their time. I mentioned the 25,000 job boards. By no means do you want to search out all 25,000 of those and post your job on it. But one of the benefits of the way that the recruitment space has gone is you now have the ability to post your positions on niche job boards. So if I'm looking for technical talent, there are technical sites that cater to the audience that I'm looking to hire. It's extremely important that you post your positions in front of the audience that you want to bring in the door. So with that job advertisement where you are presenting yourself as an employer of choice, you know that you're going to get eyeballs from candidates that have the background that you're looking for. And so it's important that you're posting your position on a place that caters to that specific crowd. Facebook. So I talked a little bit about social media recruitment, posting to your personal connections. Facebook is a great place for branding in general. Right? If I'm Pepsi and I want to reach my consumers, I'm going to have an awesome Facebook fan page where I can engage with my consumers, tell them all about the new products that we're rolling out. It's also a great place for me to advertise why I am an employer of choice. So it's very important if you do believe in Facebook and you do have a Facebook fan page, you want to make sure that your jobs are listed there as well. It's a place for you to potentially turn your Facebook followers, your Facebook fans into hires. The other nice piece about this is these are people that are already interested in your brand. They're already interested in what you have to offer. So it is more of a targeted crowd. And then agencies. Does anyone use recruitment or staffing agencies? Yes. In my mind, and most people want to hold back on staffing firms because they feel like they're a little bit expensive. They might not bring the right candidates to your email inbox. I disagree with that. Again, keeping the idea of casting a very wide net. If they send you a great candidate, great for them, but also great for you. They understand the market. They have access to these candidates, especially if you're looking for a hard-to-fill position. It doesn't make sense to post a position on the job boards and on the internet and on your website, and then after 6 weeks go, oh, shoot, that didn't work. That didn't work. Now where do I go? Do I repost it? And I like to think of it as a house that's open on the market, right? If your house is sitting on the market for a long time, it becomes undesirable. And that's not what you want. It doesn't attract anybody. So you want to make sure that you're using all these resources and tools that are available to you so you get candidates in the door quicker. So that's the easy part. Attracting is the easy part. Being able to distribute your job to the places where we know candidates are spending time, getting a large audience of applicants to apply to your position, you can do that within a day. The engagement part. Getting them interested in your position, aside from what they can see on your website, aside from what they can see in the job advertisement, is where the work really comes in. building out your employer brand or building out your talent brand. So now this is your first real opportunity. Once they've seen the job advertisement, they've expressed interest in the position you have open, how do you capture their attention a little bit further? And this isn't something that is just meant for the Googles of the world. This is something that any small business can practice. What makes you unique? Small businesses, less bureaucratic, more of a family feel, higher opportunity for growth inside your company. There are a lot of things that make you an employer of choice. You don't necessarily need to have a gym. You don't need to provide a daycare service. You have something that makes you desirable to the candidate, and you want to make sure that you highlight that on your website. And then, of course, you also want to make sure that you don't lose the candidate's attention. So we live in a world where the recruitment space has become so cluttered with these long application processes because candidates are becoming desperate, and they're applying to everything. Active job seekers will just spend their hours on websites applying to job after job after job after job. Of course, you probably don't want to you don't want to hire a serial job seeker. You want to hire someone that is interested in your position. But at the same time, the more steps that you ask these candidates to fill out in order to express interest or apply in your position, the greater likelihood that you're losing the best ones. The best ones don't have time to spend an hour going through all of the questions that you want to know. Get them in the door before you start to dig a little bit deeper. And then retention. So, of the candidates that you now have inside your candidate pipeline that you're starting to move through the interview process, you want to dig a little bit deeper. And this is where you've attracted them, but in order to make sure that you are moving forward with the right one, you need to make sure that you know everything about that candidate. Now, I'm not saying you need to run assessment tests or background checks or skills personalities, but you want to have a firm understanding that this person is someone that you can really grow your business with, right? So there are a few ways that you can do that. Of course, you can use background checks. You can run an assessment test if you'd like. But it's a simple conversation. And that conversation can be done through what I like to call collaborative hiring. So this idea is a great best practice that we use as Smart Recruiters because it helps us not only to understand the candidate from all these different perspectives. So if it's just me interviewing a marketing representative, I'm only going to see what I want to see. I don't have someone else that is checking out my potential blind spots and picking up on things that I don't know. One of the benefits that you have as a small business is you probably sat in that position before. You understand what the position takes. And if you have other employees, you want to make sure that they can pick up on that as well and also sell your company in that position. Your employees are your greatest salespeople. Regardless of if sales is in their title, they are selling your company every day. And you want them to, number one, feel that they are a part of the growth of your business. So to invite your existing employee base to be a part of the decision-making when it comes to employees, that helps to make them feel like they're a part of the future of your company. So from a retention standpoint, that's great. But also if you flip sides and put yourself in the candidate's shoes, it's great because now they feel welcome. They feel accepted. They've been able to ask questions that they maybe weren't able to ask you as the boss. And then in terms of just some best practices aside from collaborative hiring when it comes to retention, for me, you want to know your employees. And it starts here with collaborative hiring. Get a good pulse of what they're interested in. So, for example, you want to run surveys. You want to run maybe bi-weekly one-on-ones. Make sure that they're engaged. Make sure that you're listening to what is important to them. The other is you want to make sure that you have an employee-centered environment. Culture is huge. You don't necessarily need to compete with the Googles or the PepsiCos of the world. But if you have an environment that caters to what they're interested in, it's going to help them feel that they can really grow with you. So that could be something as simple as, if you have a single mother that works for you, maybe looking into a daycare provider or providing benefits that allow your employees to subsidize their transportation into work. The other is recognition and rewards. So making sure that you are doing something as simple as saying thank you, great work, having peer reviews so they can work with one another and feel like the collaboration that they have as a team is also helping to grow the business. And then you want to make sure that, then you want to make sure that at the end of the day, you grow the business as a family, meaning everyone has a stake in the company. It's not just you as an employer. It's you as an employee population. So what is important to you as we grow? Making sure, again, that you have a pulse on the direction of the business and making people feel like they have – yeah, I'm sorry.
So in this day and age, a lot of young employees have different goals, different needs than employees from, I'd say, a different generation. So where do we get the best practices for recognition, rewards, and opportunities to make employees happier?
It all starts with a conversation, and that conversation's yes. So the question is, if with today's generation, employees have a different understanding of what's important in terms of recognition and reward, and so where do you get best practices to be able to cater to their interests? It starts with a conversation. If you're not working in an open environment, then you're missing out on an opportunity of really understanding the needs of your employees. And for the most part, they all have the same needs. So going back to the interview process, making sure that you have a deep understanding of what's important to them. Are they looking for career growth? Are they looking for short-term potential? And then from there, building out a defined process to make sure that you keep them engaged and keep them in the door. You'd be surprised. It could be something as simple as saying thank you. It could be something as simple as having some sort of peer review process where once a week you have an employee that gives a shout out to another employee because they helped them do X, Y, and Z. It doesn't necessarily mean gift cards or retreats. People just want to be recognized, and they definitely want to be recognized in front of their peers. Any other questions? So that's the end, and I guess good timing because I'm getting the Oscar cards of the music that I'm running out of time here. But in closing, for me, the most important thing is you need to hire the best. In order to retain, you need to make sure that the person that you're bringing in is not there short term. And yes, it requires a little bit more work on your end as an employer, but at the end of the day, if you have someone that you can grow with, it's going to help you out so much more in the future. If you think about it, the cost of hiring someone and then losing them 3 months later, I think the average is like 3 to 4 times that candidate's or that employee's average salary. It's expensive. Turnover is expensive. It happens everywhere. Creating an open, transparent environment, making sure that you understand what your employees are looking for and helping to provide that for them. And again, it could be something as simple as a thank you or a career growth or a training. So making sure that you understand the direction that your employees want to go and you go with them. And that's, oh, yes. Okay, questions. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask if your recommendations that you have here are available for download.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I work for a company called Smart Recruiters. We provide a free hiring software that allows small businesses to simplify the recruitment space. So a lot of the screenshots that we went through are actually screenshots of my customers and how they leverage Facebook or how they leverage job boards. One of the benefits of working within a free platform is we work with over 40,000 customers now, which means we have all this great data at our disposal so we can figure out where you're going to get the best return on certain positions. We really cater more towards the attractive side or the attraction side of the recruitment space, how you get people in the door. And I think retention is something that you need to build internally. But it is a really simple process. And if we look at it like we look at the way that we help companies in terms of finding those candidates, it's all about having a defined process and sticking to that, figuring out what works, tweaking it, tuning it, and moving forward. If you don't have anything in place, you're never going to figure out what's the best way to build your business. Did you have it? Yes, sir.
What do you think about this idea? I was thinking of hiring someone to be like a spy in the company and find out what the employees need, find their needs.
Yeah.
And that way we can kind of help them personally without me being involved with the employee assessment or the interviewing process, like say the surveys, stuff like that.
It's an interesting concept, and it's something that I've definitely thought about when I see my employees go off and they play foosball, or they go off and they go to lunch together. I wonder, what are they talking about? What are they saying about me? Did I do something wrong today? It's an interesting idea, but I think at the end of the day, if you have a strong relationship with your employees, and maybe you're at a place where your company's so big that you can't interact with all of them on a one-on-one basis daily or weekly. But if you empower your managers to do so, your managers are going to feel ownership within your company. And if your managers feel ownership within your company, and then they can empower their employees or their team, again, you're building this idea of a strong business that is destined to succeed because everyone feels ownership within it. And that's something that you want to, I think that you really want to look to do. You don't necessarily need a spy. Ask them, what's going on? What can I help you with? What do you need? And make it clear, set proper expectations. I might not be able to cater to everything. If you want a pool in the backyard of our building, odds are I'm probably not going to be able to do that. But maybe we can find something that works for you. Any other questions? Yes?
Feedback. This year I asked all of my employees, doesn't matter, there's no right or wrong answer, what would you like to see from an employee or an employer? And what was interesting to me was I got some really crazy answers back, but most of the answers were all what the employer could do for them, and none of them were what we could do together. Mm-hmm. So do you have any suggestions on how to sort of change that so that it's more global rather than just what you can do for me?
I think that it definitely starts with you as the leader. You need to set the tone and set the proper expectation. And in my experience, it starts with something as simple as a weekly meeting, a team meeting or a company meeting where you talk about the goals for the week, you talk about the successes of the previous week. This way now we're interacting, right? We're collaborating, we're working as a team. And so when I ask you what you need, it's not so much one way. It's, hey, we're all doing this together. So let's figure out something that's going to allow us to get to what we want to get to. Transparency is huge because it allows you to understand what your employees want, but your employees can also understand what you want. And if they're not a good fit and they don't fit the system that you're going to roll out, of course, it's not great to experience turnover, but it's going to be very difficult to build a business if you don't know your employees want to build it with you. Any other questions? We're good? Okay. Thank you all so much for your time. I definitely appreciate it.